again, and welcome back to Real Estate for All. My name is Miriam G, and I am the co-founder and architect at Co Everything. We're going to hear again from Jacqueline Cooper today on who is involved in real estate development and who are the key players.
My name's Jacqueline Cooper, and I am a lifelong Dorchester resident. My parents moved to Dorchester just before my first birthday. I am a home buyer, educator, and counselor. I've also did work around affordable homeownership development with a community development corporation. So I'm very interested and passionate about Boston residents being able to stay in their neighborhoods. So first, we have the developer, and the developer is the key player in all of this. It's their idea. They have to make sure that they get it through all of the processes until it's completed. Okay, so they're responsible for everything, and they're responsible for putting together their team. What the developer is trying to do is get what's called site control, which is owning the land or having permission to put the things on the land. And so you have the landowner or the seller. And that could be anyone from government organizations. There's a lot of land that's the city owns. It could be a private individual, a small business, a small realty trust. But the developer's goal is to be able to get the land so that they can build the project. We have the community members. That's us. Everybody that lives in the community, swinging like a quarter-mile radius for some projects, half-mile radius, and those are the people that get involved. So, for example, one of my neighbors wanted to build a deck. I was in the radius of people that was consulted that this person wanted to build a deck on their house. And was that okay with me? Of course, it was okay with me. It's a deck. However, they didn't say they wanted to build a deck that had 5 stories, so that deck became a house. Could one day come in and say, oh, let's put walls around this. So that's why they have community process, so that you can see what your neighbors are doing and just evaluate the impact, not just personally, but on your community. So that's who the community members are. In addition to being individuals, it may be small businesses that are in the area, other nonprofits that are in the area. So it's not just individuals, it's everybody in that area might have a say. And their role is to work with the developer to create a project that's great for that community. Then there's the zoning board. The zoning board is a government organization that approves development. Everywhere from my friend's deck all the way to large parcels of land having housing and small businesses and big businesses and whatever else is going on. They have this list of rules. So the zoning people, they're not just giving an opinion, there's rules. So there's rules about what kind of things can go on what kind of land, what kind of things can go in certain neighborhoods, how they are to be built, how high a building can be, how big a lot has to be in order to put any particular building. So whenever your idea comes that is out of compliance with those, you have to ask permission. Your community members have to say it's fine. And then the zoning board looks at all of that and sees, is that a good idea? And the zoning board hearings are open. They're on Zoom and you can get a glimpse of what goes on. Fascinating. But that'll give you an idea of what's going on. Then there's the architect. And the architect is the person that draws the building, Also in compliance with zoning and building codes. So they figure out everything from foundation to the roof, what kind of materials, how the rooms will be laid out, what type of utilities are required to operate the building, and all of that. They're the design, but they're not just, this looks pretty, but they have to take into consideration all the components of a building. What kind of foundation do you put down? Can you dig? Is it going to be above ground? But they're responsible for all that. They're also responsible for determining what materials would work best for constructing the building. So the architect has a say in all of that. And they present the options to the developer so that the developer can help manage their budget. So that's the architect's job. And they're there from the idea all the way to practically to selling or renting the units. You have contractors, and contractors are responsible for building. They're responsible for following the architect's plans and pulling everything together. And the contractor is responsible for getting all the tradespeople. So they're supposed to be say, okay, I need the people who are going to work on the foundation this week. I need the people who are going to do the framing, and then the walls, and then the plaster, and then the paint. So the contractor is responsible for figuring out when the plumber's coming, when the electrician's coming, when the building's going to be heated, when the windows are going to be installed. So that's the contractor's job. And they're responsible for maintaining the timeline and also the budget, because time is money in a construction project. So that's the contractor's job. Investors are responsible for the money. They put money in and they monitor what's going on with the money. Did you spend all the money? Sometimes they have rules with their money. Like when you talk about affordable home ownership, they have rules to their money. So they said, that's great. You can have this $1 million, but I want to see low income people living here 10, 15 years, because usually there's a timeline also attached to that. It's not forever. And then what's rare is investors with no strings attached. Every investor has some kind of expectation of return on their investment. And then you have the bank lender who will loan the difference. Investors are the equity part, and the bank people are the debt part. And the bank people loan you the money with the expectation that you'll be paying this money back. So the timeline is really important here, because if you're supposed to start paying the bank back in 2 years with your tenants or your homeowners, whichever you're doing, it's got to be done because they want their money back. So that's why you go all the way back to developer and orchestrating all of this stuff to make sure that it gets done. So that's pretty much how all of these people come together.
Thanks so much, Jackie, for giving us the lowdown on who is involved in real estate development and how all of those key players come together. Thanks so much for tuning in to Real Estate for All. We will see you in the next one.